Why, hello there, and welcome to this video. My name is Leah. I'm a new progressive YouTuber, and I have been here recently making videos, every Wednesday and Saturday, doing Wednesday and Saturday shows, talking about the big stories, talking about, trends, whatever's important, whatever's going on, whatever I think is important, whatever I think is going on. And I'm doing all of that from a progressive point of view. So if that is something that you're interested in, well, welcome. You're in the right place. The first story we're going to jump into is actually about a month old, and it has to do with the Supreme Court. So I just want to say right off the bat, the Supreme Court is pretty awful. They overturned abortion rights, as many of you are probably aware. They've actually overturned a lot of rulings that were precedent, long-term precedent in our country, which really has been shaking things up in a negative way, because a lot of these rulings are anti-consumer, that are just taking away your rights and stuff like that. So that's horrible. We hate that. This ruling specifically that we're talking about today is from about a month ago, and you might have seen it, you might not have seen it. So that's why I'm talking about it, because it's really important to the recent story that I'm here to talk about. And so the first thing we're here to talk about is this landmark Supreme Court case right here, where they decide to criminalize homelessness. And you may say, what? Huh? Criminalizing homelessness? What? And essentially, what they did was overturn a precedent. There was originally a precedent set in a case called Martin v. Boise. I think it's Boise. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit ruled that cities must allow public camping to those who are involuntarily homeless. The court ruled that banning homelessness violated the punishment clause of the Eighth Amendment, constituting cruel and unusual punishment. So the Supreme Court overruled that decision, basically creating a new ruling where if a city wants, they can just declare homelessness illegal. They can just outright criminalize homelessness. This is really disappointing. Really disappointing. We have some words from the opposition here. Chief Justice Sonia Sotomayor argued against this opinion, saying that criminalization leads to a revolving door of homelessness and poverty. Criminalizing homelessness can cause a destabilizing cascade of harm. Rather than helping people to regain housing, obtain employment, or access needed treatment and services, criminalization creates a costly revolving door that circulates individuals experiencing homelessness from the street to the criminal justice system and back. For people with nowhere else to go, fines and jail time do not deter behavior, reduce homelessness, or increase public safety. So unfortunately, this actually wasn't reported on very much, even though it was kind of a big story. I feel like it was kind of missed. I feel like a lot of people missed this particular ruling from the Supreme Court. Many people are aware of the abortion thing, but not many people are aware that they also made it possible to criminalize homelessness. Now, you may be wondering, okay, but that was a month ago. Why are we talking about this right now? And that is because there's a recent story related to this. And if you clicked on the video, you probably know what it's about. It's about Gavin Newsom. And I really hate to bring you this story. I actually genuinely hate to bring you this story. And I'm just going to go ahead and read the title here. California governor issues executive order to clear homeless encampments. So just to dig into the details here, California Governor Gavin Newsom issued an executive order Thursday setting guidelines for the removal of homeless encampments by state agencies and departments, while requesting that the local governments adopt the policies as well. The order will require state agencies under Newsom's authority to address homeless encampments on state property and set 5 explicit policies to follow for removal. The policies include site assessments determining whether a camp is dangerous to public health and warrants immediate removal, 2, reasonable advance notice to vacate whether exigent circumstances warranting removal exist, 3, standard 48-hour notice to vacate before removals, and 4, communication with service providers for outreach to individuals experiencing homelessness, 60-day storage of personal property for homeless individuals at the removal site. The order also encourages local governments to use all available resources and infrastructure, including resources provided by the state's historic investments in housing and intervention programs, to address the crisis and humanely remove encampments from public spaces. I don't know about you, but to me, this is pretty awful to see from Gavin Newsom, and I have a couple speculations as to why he's doing this, but I just want to say that, I don't think that there's anything wrong with coming up with policies to try to reduce homelessness in your city or state. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But I think that if you put any policy forward that essentially criminalizes homelessness, or what they're doing here, which is issuing policies where if it's too dirty, if they say it's a risk to public health, they could basically just say oh, this camp is too dirty because these people are homeless. They don't have access to good hygienic practices. A lot of them are unhoused. So, they're not able to create create a space that is like safe for public health. Like a lot of these people aren't expecting to have visitors coming over, you know what I mean? But yeah, we will see how this gets instituted. I just have a feeling that like they kind of tried to make it sound all flowery with the language and whatever, but that's just not going to be how it's enforced. I don't think that this is going to be enforced with kindness. I feel like this is going to be enforced with a heavy hand. Now, I do want to talk about my speculations for why Gavin Newsom might be doing this, because I find the timing suspicious. I will not lie to you. I have a strong feeling that Gavin Newsom wants to be a president someday. Like, I just get this vibe from him that he's like trying to set up like a path to presidency in the long term. Like, he's playing the long game for sure, because he backed Biden all the way and all that other stuff. So he was clearly like thinking of something like a 2028 run or something like that. That was kind of probably in the back of his mind. But now that Harris has been endorsed and now that she's the nominee and that she's kind of moving forward with that process, I think Gavin Newsom kind of sees the writing on the wall, and the writing on the wall to him says, you're not going to be president for at least another 8 years. Because if Kamala Harris becomes president and she does her 4-year term, you know, incumbency bias is pretty powerful. If she has a popular campaign and maybe she gets some good policy stuff done, then as someone who's going to be still rather young, she's going to have a good shot at running for re-election to do a second term. I think that that's entirely possible. We could have her as a 2-term president, which means that there would be no real available open election in the Democratic Party until 2032. So I think for Gavin Newsom, he's kind of thinking like, okay, I can put my presidential aspirations on hold. And I think that this kind of makes him feel free to do certain things that he probably wouldn't do otherwise. Like if you have the entire Democratic Party looking at you, criminalizing homelessness or banning homelessness or clearing homelessness out of your city or states using policies that seem kind of authoritarian and stuff like that, like that's probably not a very popular thing to do. That's probably not a very good thing to be doing. And already some people are pretty mad at Gavin Newsom over this. But honestly, I feel like Gavin Newsom has like this little politician brain, and he's thinking that like he needs to do something about the homelessness in California, because there are quite a few homeless people in California. It's a problem because the economy there is really intense. And if you can't make ends meet, it's very easy to end up on the streets in California. You know, like housing can be rather expensive. If you lose a job suddenly or something like that, it's very easy to end up on the streets in California. So that is something that is a concern for him. And I think that optically it makes him look bad nationally. Like that's something that Republicans constantly attack Gavin Newsom over, and especially California. And they kind of use that as a broad attack on Democrats in general. Is that like, oh, Democrats allow homelessness. Oh, they don't do anything about the homelessness. Oh, there's homelessness all over the place. And like, you know, like I think that homelessness is an unfortunate reality that needs to be dealt with in a compassionate manner. But unfortunately, nothing has been really done about it for a long time. And I think that this step is not necessarily a step in the right direction. I think this is probably a step in the wrong direction. Like if these people had somewhere else to go, like if they had a better option, they probably wouldn't be sleeping in a tent or in a tent city. Like if they had affordable housing options, they would probably much prefer to have a place to sleep that is like a real roof over their head rather than just like a tent. So yeah, I really find this to be pretty crappy to see from Gavin Newsom. It's like he's like caving to Republican pressure to deal with homelessness in an aggressive way, to deal with it in a very immediate way. And like, I mean, yeah, something needs to be done about it. But like, if you're going to clear out these camps, make sure that all of these people have somewhere else that is safe and clean and like somewhere to actually go, you know, don't just like move them out of the space that they are currently living and be like, you can't stay here. I don't know where else you can go, but it's not going to be back in that tent city, because that tent city is going away. That's all I got to say about that story in particular. But I will say that you should probably keep your eyes open, because I have a strong feeling, especially in Republican states, we're going to see a lot more of these kinds of policies, executive orders, bills, all sorts of things come forward that are going to be quote unquote addressing homelessness. And I think in some states it's going to be pretty bad. We're going to see it to the point where like people are immediately, imprisoned for being homeless or something like that. Like it's going to be criminalized very heavily in some states, and they're not going to have, these relief programs. They're not going to attempt to find housing. They're not going to do anything. They're just going to lock you up, and whenever your sentence is up, they're just going to throw you right back on the street and lock you back up again. And that's horrible. That's not like a solution to the problem. We already have prisons that are way, way, way overpopulated. We have the most overpopulated prison systems in the world, and this is not going to make it better. This is only going to make it worse. I know that this was a bit of a depressing story, but I felt like it was important to cover. So I know it's a bit of a downer, but yeah, it's good to stay informed. There's a housing crisis in America. It affects a lot of people, and I don't think that we should look down upon them. I don't think that we should disparage them. I don't think we should lock them up or criminalize these people. I think these people need help. They need social services, and if they get those things, then I think that they will be on the path towards recovering from whatever tough situation they're in. If you like the content, if you like the vibes, if you like the channel and stuff like that, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Drop me a little sub. That would be super great. I'm trying to push my way to 100 subscribers, so if you want to help me on that journey, I would super appreciate it. This is a start of a long road. I want to try to grow my channel to as large as I can get it to go, and try to increase my outreach and make a bigger difference as time goes on. So be a part of the journey, help me get there. That would be super appreciated. Also, if you want to leave a comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think they should do. Like, how should they handle this crisis? Do you have any ideas that would be good? I feel like it's not hard to come up with good ideas. It's just that people don't want to fund them. Like the rich elite people, the government, whatever, they don't want to fund, like especially Republicans don't want to fund social services. So it's a constant battle to try to get these things going that would actually help people that are struggling with housing. All right, that's all for me. I'm going to move on to my last segment. I have one more segment today, and then that is it for me for this show. So if you joined me, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, and I will catch you in the next one if you decide to watch another one. Also, do me one little tiny favor between now and then. Drink some water.